All right, Niners fans, let's talk football because this week feels huge. The San Francisco 49ers are just 2 short days away from a clash with the Los Angeles Rams. And it's not just any game. This one has the kind of weight that can swing the momentum of an entire season. Before the season even kicked off, everyone looked at the schedule and said, that's the matchup to watch in the first half. That's the one that will tell you if the Niners are legitimate contenders in the division or if they're just hanging around the wild card picture. And after everything we've seen over the past few weeks, that question feels bigger than ever. Coming into the year, there were doubters everywhere. A lot of people were saying San Francisco wouldn't even be a factor for the division crown, that maybe at best they would sneak in as a wild card. But the Niners came out strong, opening 3-0. Winning in Seattle, for example, that's never a small thing. It's one of the toughest trips on the calendar every single year. The crowd noise, the environment, the Seahawks always playing their best at home. It's a true test for any team. And the 49ers handled that. They walked into that building and took care of business. Then you've got the Cardinals, who for whatever reason always seem to give San Francisco trouble. They've spoiled games they had no business spoiling in the past. Yet the Niners found ways to handle them, even if it wasn't perfect. But when you rewind and look at the Rams matchup from last season, there's a bitter taste. That game slipped away. San Francisco had it, controlled stretches of it, created opportunities to put away, and still let it slide out of their hands. That memory lingers because it's exactly the type of thing this team has been working so hard to clean up. And to be fair, for much of this season, they've managed to avoid those self-inflicted wounds. At least until this past Sunday. Now here we are, staring down Thursday night. And the big question is this. What's the most important adjustment the 49ers need to make right now? With so many things that went wrong over the weekend, what deserves the most attention heading into this showdown with Los Angeles? Of course, the honest answer is that everyone can improve. Every unit, every position, every player probably left that game feeling like they could have done more. Everyone except maybe Fred Warner, who once again looked like he was operating on another planet. The guy plays like he's built out of something different, and he never seems to have an off week. But outside of him, and maybe a couple of others, there's a laundry list of things that have to be sharper. For me, though, one thing stands out. Yes, special teams had their fingerprints all over that loss. If you were in that locker room, if you were coaching that unit, you'd probably be the first to put your hand up and take the blame. They had opportunities to tilt the game back to San Francisco and just didn't do it. But the spotlight, for me, lands on the quarterback spot and the way the offense has to adapt given the circumstances. Kyle Shanahan actually called a really strong game. You could see it in the creativity, in the wrinkles he threw in, like pulling out a hook and ladder to try to spark something. He schemed receivers open. He gave them chances. But then came the drops. Execution broke down, and suddenly drives stalled. That's not on the play calling. That's on finishing plays. Which is why the question becomes, what do you do on Thursday night if Brock Purdy can't go at full strength, or maybe can't go at all? Reports say Purdy himself admitted that if he had to play right now, he couldn't. He's hopeful, he wants a push, but optimism and reality are not always the same thing. That means there's a real chance the 49ers have to lean on Mac Jones. And that changes everything. Jones is not Purdy. He doesn't move the same, he doesn't extend plays in the same way, and you can't build a game plan expecting him to do what Purdy does with his legs. So the staff has to think differently. If it's me, I'm dialing back the risky shots and focusing on a short game. Give me those 3- and 4-yard sideline throws. Give me the quick outs. Give me the checkdowns. Dink and dunk if you have to. Keep the chains moving. Because right now, trying to push the ball deep too often feels like a gamble this team doesn't need. Some of the receiving options aren't handling contested catches well enough. Last year, Jawan Jennings made those tough grabs, Brandon Ayuk too. But with some of the newer guys, I don't trust it yet. The mistakes from Sunday prove that. So why keep forcing low-percentage throws into tight coverage? What I want to see is more screens, more creativity in a short game. Last year, those screens were a staple. This season, not nearly as much. Yes, Deebo Samuel was the guy for those plays, and he's not available. George Kittle can do it, but he can't be the only answer. Christian McCaffrey is as reliable as it gets, and he's been involved in some, but let's not stop there. Why not give someone like Isaac Guerendo a shot? He's got the size, the speed, that Raheem Mostert-style burst. You get the block set up, give him some space, and he can do damage. You don't need 10 of those plays, but sprinkle them in and make the defense respect the perimeter. And above all else, run the football. Establish it. Stick with it. Even if it means a couple of drives, don't go anywhere early. Keep pounding. Make it a physical game. Force the Rams' young defensive line to hold up snap after snap. Christian McCaffrey will get his, but I also want to see more of Brian Robinson. He hasn't had enough opportunities. Not because he isn't capable, but because the offensive line hasn't given him much room. Still, the only way to build that rhythm is to keep handing it off. The Niners' identity has always been tied to the run game, and it needs to stay that way. Look, I'm not saying never take shots downfield. You've got to keep defenses honest, especially when you catch them in single high looks or when the corners cheat up. You have to punish that when it's there. But it can't be the foundation. Not with this group of receivers right now. The priority has to be protecting the football. Limit turnovers. Avoid those crushing interceptions and fumbles that have haunted them. Mac Jones had one game where he avoided an interception, but even then, there was still a fumble. That tells you how fragile the margin for error is. So yes, condense the field, make it a grind, and then look for your chances to open it up once the defense starts creeping forward. To me, that's the smartest path right now, especially on a short week with injuries piling up. Meanwhile, the defense has its own mountain to climb. Against Jacksonville, there were no sacks, not even a quarterback hit. That's not just disappointing, it's alarming. When you finish a game and you can't point to one moment where your defensive line really shook the opposing quarterback, that's a problem. And it's not just effort, though effort was questioned too. When Fred Warner forces a fumble and the ball is on the ground, and the first 4 players to dive on it are from Jacksonville, not San Francisco, something's wrong. Where was the hustle? Where was the urgency? Those moments matter. And now, here comes Matthew Stafford, one of the most seasoned quarterbacks in the league, a guy who has seen every blitz, every coverage disguise, every pressure look you could throw at him. He's got weapons. Puka Nacua making noise, Tutu Atwell stretching the field, and of course the always dangerous veterans. If you think you're going to rattle Stafford without pressure, you're mistaken. He'll pick you apart. That means Robert Saleh and the defensive staff are going to have to gamble. Send the blitz, roll the dice. Sometimes it'll backfire, sure, but doing nothing is not an option. When you look at where this team stands heading into Thursday, you can't ignore the injury report. It's one of those weeks where every update from practice feels like a breaking story. Ricky Parrall is questionable, didn't practice, which already makes you think the offense will be limited in terms of options. Brock Purdy also missed practice, and that alone is enough to send a ripple of nerves through the fan base. You don't want to be heading into a divisional battle with uncertainty under center. But here we are. John Lynch made it clear that the organization will be cautious with Purdy. They're not going to risk something bigger on a short week, which is the right call, even if it's frustrating in the moment. Purdy himself admitted he wouldn't have been able to play if the game had been that day, but he's hopeful with the extra time. Hopeful doesn't always equal ready, though. That's why all signs point to Mac Jones stepping in. And listen, it's not the worst thing in the world. Jones is a professional. He's been in the league long enough, and by all accounts, he's handled his recovery and preparation like a veteran. He's been grinding through his rehab, earning respect in the locker room, and Lynch himself praised his effort. If Purdy can't go, Jones is ready, and that's the reality fans need to get comfortable with. Because honestly, I don't see Purdy being 100% on Thursday. Even if he dresses, I just don't see them putting him out there at less than full strength with so many receivers already sidelined. The bigger problem, though, isn't just who plays quarterback. It's who he'll be throwing to. Right now, the wide receiver room looks thin. Bare bones. You can feel it in every drive, every set of downs. There just aren't enough proven options out there. And that's where the turnovers start creeping in. Because when a quarterback doesn't have reliable targets, he forces the ball into tighter windows. And that's when the interceptions pile up. That's not to excuse some of Purdy's throws over the past 2 seasons. There have been mistakes, but context matters. Christian McCaffrey is phenomenal, but he can't be asked to play superhero on every route. He's a dynamic pass catcher, but when the ball is floating over the middle and there's a linebacker draped all over him, that's asking too much. What you want in those moments is a tall wideout with big hands, someone who can box out defenders and bail the quarterback out. Right now, those guys aren't consistently available. And that's why people like Brian Baldinger are pointing to the roster around Purdy. Not to take anything away from him, but to highlight that the supporting cast isn't as strong as it could be. It's a fair critique, and it's one the front office has to take seriously moving forward. Because this team made its choice. They committed to Purdy, and his contract is actually a good deal for the franchise. It's not the kind of bloated quarterback deal that hamstrings your cap space. It's manageable, and it leaves room to build a roster around him. But building a roster means making sure he has weapons, and right now, those weapons are thin. Take Kendrick Bourne, for example. The guy brings energy, swagger, the right mindset. He's fun to watch, and he owns his mistakes, but drops kill drives. They change games, and on Sunday, they hurt badly. He knows it, the coaches know it, and the fans saw it. If he can lock in and step up Thursday night, it changes everything. But that's a big if. And until someone in that group shows they can be consistent, it leaves you nervous about relying too much on the passing game. So that's where Shanahan's challenge comes in. He has to find a way to scheme around limitations. Lean heavier on the run. Design short passes. Use motion and creativity to manufacture touches for the guys who can make a play. This isn't about outsmarting yourself. It's about playing to your strengths and hiding your weaknesses. And right now, the weakness is the passing attack when forced into risky situations. But while the offense has its problems, the defense has its own spotlight. Lynch said it himself, you have to hit the quarterback in this league. Against Jacksonville, that didn't happen. Not once. No sacks, not even a quarterback hit. Think about that. In a league where pass rush is king, the 49ers came away with nothing. That's not a recipe for beating Matthew Stafford, because Stafford, with time, will eat you alive. He's too smart, too experienced, too willing to stand in the pocket and deliver. If he's comfortable, you lose. Period. That's why this game is going to come down to Robert Saleh and the defensive staff dialing up pressure in creative ways. Blitzes, disguises, taking risks. It's not pretty, and yes, sometimes you'll get burned. Stafford has seen everything, and he'll recognize some of it. He'll beat it occasionally, but you'd rather live with that than let him sit back untouched for 4 quarters. The key is making him uncomfortable, forcing him off his spot, disrupting timing with his receivers. Now, it won't be easy. The defensive line is banged up. Names all over the injury report, some limited, some not practicing at all. Mikael Williams, Yetur Gross-Matos, D. Winters, all limited. It's encouraging they're at least out there in some capacity, but on a short week, limited might not be enough. And that's the problem. Short weeks magnify everything. Tuesday practice is basically a Friday practice, which means you don't have much time to heal. You either can go or you can't, and there's not a lot of in between. That's why every update feels so significant right now. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL rumor mill is buzzing louder than ever this week, and all eyes are turning toward Levi's Stadium. Word on the street is that the 49ers have reportedly landed one of the league's most explosive wide receivers, DK Metcalf. While nothing has been officially confirmed, sources suggest that Metcalf could be joining the Bay Area, adding a new layer of depth and, crucially, touchdown potential to a 49ers offense already teeming with talent. Fans and analysts alike are speculating on the immediate impact of such a move. Metcalf, known for his rare combination of size, speed, and catch radius, could become the kind of weapon that defenses simply cannot ignore. The whispers around the league hint at a scenario where Jimmy Garoppolo, or whoever might be under center this season, suddenly has a red zone threat that changes the dynamics of play calling. Every touchdown opportunity could become a high-percentage shot, and Metcalf's presence alone could open lanes for other playmakers on the roster. Social media has erupted with speculation. Highlights of Metcalf's monster catches are circulating with captions like Bay Area Takeover and Next Level 49ers offense incoming. The chatter isn't just online. Former players and pundits are weighing in on podcasts and shows, debating how the 49ers could adjust their offensive scheme to maximize Metcalf's talents. Could this push the team over the edge in the NFC West? The whispers suggest it's possible, and the excitement is palpable. While contract details remain murky and nothing has been signed publicly, the notion that DK Metcalf is heading to San Francisco has already sparked conversations in locker rooms across the league. Opposing defensive coordinators are reportedly scratching their heads, trying to figure out how to contain a player who's as physically dominant as he is dynamic. The buzz around town hints that this move, if it materializes, could be more than just a headline. It could be the start of a seismic shift for the 49ers' offensive identity. For now, it remains rumor, speculation, and tantalizing possibility. But in San Francisco, hope is rising, and the mere thought of Metcalf running routes under the bright lights of Levi Stadium has fans dreaming of a season full of highlight reel catches and touchdown celebrations. The NFL rumor mill never rests, and right now, it's all about DK Metcalf and a potential homecoming to the Bay Area. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.